Hi everybody, my name is Angela Cleary, I'm a life coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. So today I want to talk about narcissistic gaslighting. So gaslighting is a form of psychological or emotional abuse, a form of manipulation so the abuser can distort the truth for their benefit. This is used to make the victim feel insecure, question their sanity, and in turn then become more dependent on the abuser. So for example, if you're having a conversation with somebody and they say something and literally a moment later you might repeat what they just said and they'll be like, no, I never said that. I'd never say that. And this leads you to question your sanity a little bit. Now, obviously when I was in my narcissistic relationships before, I didn't even realize this, and it was only after studying narcissism, after those breakups, that I started to, I suppose, pick up on this with people. So the last time I dated back in 2019, I was aware of narcissism and all that. So this guy that I was dating would literally say something and I'd say it back to him straight after. Now we were sober, there was no drink involved. And he would literally say, no, I'd never say that. I didn't say that. And you're literally kind of going, you just said that. And they will actually turn this around against you and make you question your sanity. So like if you're not aware of this, and if, say when I was in my narcissistic relationship, I was not aware of this. So they can turn anything around to make you question your own mind. And then they'll call you crazy. And like, say nasty remarks to you like, Jesus, your memory must be terrible. Like, cause I'd never do anything like that. I'd never say anything like that. And they twist things so that you literally start to question your own reality. And sometimes gaslighting comes in the form of deliberate actions that the person will take, like leaving stuff somewhere or whatever, turn on a light or turn off light, and then the wife or something questions, did he do this? No, I didn't do anything. It must be your mind. And slowly but surely will help, will actively play in your mind so much that you will start to question your own sanity. And if you're in the abusive relationship and you're already codependent on a person, this is very easy to happen, and it easily gets worse and worse. This will make you feel more insecure, question your sanity, it will make you more dependent on your abuser. It will make you lie to your friends and family about what's going on in the relationship, even if they see it. This will literally, it will fuck with your mind and make you so much more, I suppose, weaker in a sense. But I find with, it's a crazy thing, like, how they try and pick on your mind and make you feel that even other people are talking behind your back when they're the ones talking. They will also put the blame on other people. So like, you might confront them about something who's like, no, I never did that, but I heard him doing it. This kind of stuff. And this will all slowly but surely play on your mind and make you question your own reality and question your own sanity. Other forms of it is they will bring up your past mistakes or past traumas in order to make you feel weak or vulnerable. And they will use this kind of stuff against you, and then they'll make you feel guilty about stuff that happened in your past, so as to kind of say, I can't trust you because you did this back then, or stuff like that. And it just plays on other things to make you feel smaller and weaker so that they can control you and control your mind. Other things would be, say, I noticed personally myself, my ex now, say 2 years before my narcissistic relationship ended, I went through a massive trauma. And for the last 2 years, me and my ex practically fought all the time. And every time we fought, he brought up my trauma, something that happened to me, and made me feel bad about it, blamed me for it, and then victimized himself for something that happened to me. He made himself out to be the victim. This is another thing that gaslighters and narcissists do, is they make themselves out to be the victim rather than you. And they will deliberately bring up stuff that will trigger you and that will make you emotional so that you will become more dependent on them. Say, for example, when I set boundaries with my dad, and he has narcissistic traits, on the phone, I said, I cannot be around negative energy. I cannot do it. It's sucking the life out of me. It's making me mentally and physically ill. And on the phone, he said, do you need to go to a doctor? You might have a mental disorder. This is what they do. And when I hung up the phone, I was shaking and I was crying, and I was like, I swore after my narcissistic relationships, I'd never let anyone make me feel like that again. And then he sent me a text message with a list of all my traumas, saying, my blood freezes when I think this happened to you. My blood freezes when I think of this happening to you. So he brought up all my traumas to make me feel weak, whilst victimizing himself to make me feel guilty. This is what they do. They bring up these things to make you feel weak and insecure and emotionally dependent on them. Other things now, I wrote down a few things here, but like they have this kind of a grandiose, they do this as a superiority thing. They do this to feel power. They do this to weaken your mind and weaken your sanity so that they can keep control of your mind. And in my 20s, I lost all control of my mind because of this. And they make you feel like your opinions don't matter. I remember in my 20s, anytime I started to speak or have an opinion in a conversation, a group conversation, my ex used to actually butt in, interrupt me, and as if my opinions didn't matter. I eventually just stopped talking because it makes you feel so rejected and so weak when you're, I suppose, shun out like that. And that's the thing, like, I lost my voice because I felt like my opinion didn't matter. And if I did say anything, he'd be like, you don't know enough about this to be able to say anything. Like, you know, you're too young. This kind of shit, like, and it does make you feel weaker and weaker. It makes you feel hopeless. It makes you feel insecure. It makes you unsociable. And another thing then they pick on is anytime that you have any kind of goals or plans or ideas, they laugh at you and they make you feel undermined. They make you feel weak. This will start for you to make you question every little thing you do. And everything you do then, you're asking, is this okay? Did I do this right? Like, I forgot to cook. I forgot how to use my brain because he had gaslighted me so much that I had lost all ability to make decisions for myself. Do you know, so you need to understand, like, if you're in arguments and this person turns the argument around on you, and that's another thing, they will first of all tell you that you're wrong, that I didn't just say that. I would never say that. And then they will say that you're crazy. And it's like, you need to get your meds adjusted. And then if you get angry or upset, they're like, look, there's proof that you're fucking crazy. Do you know what I mean? This is all kind of stuff that they will do to take away from your mind. And another thing as well, that you try and have a conversation with them. And if it's not on their terms, they will turn around and go, I'm not talking about this right now. No, I'm not talking about this right now. And I remember after my trauma in my narcissistic relationship, the only time I could talk about it was when I was drunk. Because it was so traumatic for me that I couldn't speak about it when I was sober. But my ex used to turn around and say, we're not talking about this now, you're drunk. And without having any compassion at the fact that I could not speak about this when I was sober. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it. And they dismiss your upset. They dismiss your need for comfort. And then they victimize themselves with your trauma. Like, my ex, like, you swear the fucking thing happened to him and not me, the way he treated me after it happened. Like, it was horrendous. And if I didn't get therapy at the time, I don't know what would have happened. Like, you know, we were constantly fighting and he was victimizing himself as if the fucking trauma happened to him. And I didn't even know about narcissism until my therapist said it. But, like, I've seen this with another friend as well. Like, he tries to talk to his girlfriend about his traumas and he can only do it when he's drunk. And she dismisses it and it's like, no, we're not talking about this right now. Don't want to talk about this. Do you know, and this is what they do. They don't have compassion for your needs. Another thing, like, they undermine your opinions all the time. And they just victimize themselves continuously about your traumas. Oh, that's the other thing. My other ex, the way he apologized for something. He's like, I'm sorry, you made me do that to make me do this. Do you get me? So instead of actually apologizing for his bad behavior, he said, I'm sorry that you made me do this. This kind of stuff. So if you see yourself being in arguments with your partner, or this can be with a boss or a friend or anyone, and you find them questioning, they're like, I didn't say that, or you're crazy, or trying to manipulate your mind and manipulate your emotions and manipulate your sanity. you need to kind of be aware of this. And how do you feel after, like, this is another thing as well, actually, in arguments with a narcissist, in arguments with a gaslighter, you're the one who ends up apologizing to them for their behavior. They're the ones who treat you like shit. They're the ones that belittle you and call you names. And yet you're the one to go and apologize to them. This is their way of manipulating you as well. They get you to feel sorry for them, even though they're the ones that have abused you. They'll never admit to this. They'll never admit to being wrong. And if you're in an argument where they can't win, they will go, I'm not talking about this. Just I'm not talking about this right now. And they will deflect. That's the word, deflect from their own bad behavior. And they will say, you're imagining things or stuff like that. If you have these kind of words coming into arguments and stuff, you need to start being aware of how it makes you feel. Because if they continue to gaslight you and continue to, I suppose, take control of your mind, you will become so codependent on them for absolutely everything, even thinking. You will lose all confidence in your own opinions. You lose all confidence in yourself, in your abilities to do anything. I became so codependent because of this kind of behavior. I didn't work because he gaslighted me into not having to work. And then I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cook. I forgot how to cook, and I used to feel so insecure about even buttering a slice of toast that I'd be like, did I do that right? You'd be nearly shaking in your skin. You'd be walking on eggshells around these people, afraid to even open your mouth because of what kind of reaction they'd give you. And this was the same. This is what happened towards the end of, say, me still spending time with my dad. I was afraid to open my mouth. I was afraid to say anything in case of his reaction. And even if I knew my whatever I had to say was right, I knew that if I said it out loud, he would get angry or start shouting, or, I don't know, it would trigger him or something. So I just stopped talking. And he said something that I used to say a couple of years before, and something I'd say when I was excited. And he said it. They steal your words as well. They started to mimic your behavior. But this reminded me, he said something that I used to say a year and a half ago or whatever, that I used to say when I was excited. And I was like, oh my God, where am I gone? I haven't said that in so long because I stopped talking. I lost my voice. And that's the thing, they mimic your behavior. And if you find that person as well saying stuff like your phrases and your exciting stuff, and you start seeing them mirror what you used to be like, it's like they're after stealing your essence. And they're after now taking on your personality while you slowly but surely deteriorate. This is what they do. So if you're starting to see this behavior, if you're starting to see that that person said something, that this person did say this, that you just know they said it 2 seconds ago, you repeat it to them, I would never say that, you're crazy, this kind of stuff. And I find I used to be so naive, and I used to just believe anything and everything. So gaslighting, I was easily manipulated. And I look back now on certain friends or family members, and I'm like, oh my God, were they always narcissistic? Or was I so naive not to see this? And that's the thing, you believe they're happy exterior because that's the exterior they will show you at the start. But when you need them less, or when you become less codependent on a narcissist, they will start to show their true colours. And that's what I've noticed with friends in the past. That literally is was she always gaslighting me? Was all of this friendship a complete farce? Even though that person helped me so much, I look back now and I'm like, does she deserve the Lifetime Achievement Award for pretending to be my friend? That kind of way. And as I said, even though she helped me because I was codependent on her. But when I became independent, the cracks started showing, and you're like, oh my God, was it all fake? Was I just naive? And this was the same with my dad. Was I in denial my whole life? Was he always narcissistic? Or did they only become narcissistic because you become less dependent on them? This is the thing. So you have to be aware of this. Be aware of your relationships and be aware of how you feel and the arguments you have. And in fairness, just, oh, Jesus. When somebody makes you feel so little and so, that you're shaking and crying, trying to get your point across to a person that won't fucking listen and makes you feel small and makes your opinions feel that they don't matter. You need to start taking a look at the situation, and you need to start taking a step back. The only way to save yourself from these kind of people is to walk away. And it is the hardest thing to do because, as I said, you become so codependent on this person because of them taking control and manipulating your mind. But be aware of it. Be aware of their lies and how they're trying to make you feel, and their victim mentality when it comes to, you know, your traumas, your shit, the stuff that happened to you. They're literally going, feeling sorry for themselves for something that happened to you, making you feel shitty about something that happened to you in your past, and saying like, I can't trust you now because of this, or you're this bad person because of this. Bringing up stuff to make you feel weak, to make you feel, I suppose, so insecure that you're going to need them more. This is what they do. They pick on you and pick on you and pick on you, make you question your sanity so that they can make you more dependent on them, because they need that. They need that to make themselves feel better, because they're so insecure anyway that the only way that they're going to feel better is by taking control of your life, taking control of your mind, your personality, and your whole essence. So you need to be aware of these kind of arguments, these kind of conversations, and this can come in relationships with bosses as well. Do you know, and I started to notice this with my boss. I love my job. I was a supervisor. I just loved it. But I started to see the cracks because I was actually doing the studying on narcissism, and I was like, you know, he's making, the way he spoke to one of my co-workers, I was like, oh my God, that's narcissistic. And then I was like, oh shit. And then I started to see another co-worker, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm next. I need to start looking for another job because he's only going to push me out. So I was aware of it and I was able to see it, but I started to see on his words and everything and his manipulation. And oh my God, one time he came in and he was after giving out to one of the workers. The way he used to be a boss was to shit on everyone and to speak shitty of them, speak to them like they were dirt in his shoe. Whereas I used to, me and my workers, we helped each other. You know, they were good to me and I was good to them. And we had a happy-go-lucky kind of a relationship. I saw my narcissistic boss walk into the office one day after shouting at somebody, and he looked like he was high on drugs. His face, he was just so excited after shitting so hard on somebody and speaking so little to somebody that he looked like he was high on drugs. And I was like, whoa, this is wrong. And that's what they get out of controlling other people. That's what they get out of shitting on other people, is this high, this superiority, this fucking... And I never saw, it was the craziest. I was like, whoa, this is how they get their fix in a way. By controlling and literally manipulating other people, by speaking ill to other people, making other people feel small, making other people feel crazy, making other people feel like they're doing things wrong. And that's another thing with narcissists. They will, if you do anything, like that's the reason I became so, I suppose, insecure about everything I did, was because if you do something your way, they'll start going, what are you doing it like that for? That's wrong. That's stupid. You can't do it like that. And then they'd laugh at you. And like I've even seen it with narcissists and other friends. The narcissists will come to me and go, do you see the way he did that? It's fucking stupid. And I'm like, no, sure, we all have our own way of doing things. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they pick on every little aspect of who you are so that they take away everything that you are. So you have to be so careful of who you have in your energy and be so aware of what narcissistic people do to gaslight, control, and abuse you, and abuse your mind, abuse everything that you are. And if they get in far enough, they can take over your whole life. I spent almost 8 years of my 20s codependent and a childlike, vulnerable, insecure, really, really just incapable of doing anything state. I had no will to be better. I had no ambition anymore. I forgot all of my skills. I forgot that I had a brain. And I disappeared. And I disappeared completely. And I was like, it was only when we broke up and we were still living together and we were having a few drinks with friends, and I said something I hadn't said for about 8 years. And I was like, and he turned around and he goes, oh, you haven't said that in years. And I just sat there, I was like, oh my God, he took away who I was. And as I said, this happened with my dad as well. And thankfully it was a shorter space of time. It was only 1.5 years that he said, he reminded me of something that I'd lost about myself. I lost all sense of who I was because of this kind of behavior, this kind of abuse. And, to lose your essence, to lose your true being, to lose your personality, to lose your happiness because of another human being, it's horrible and it's hard to get back out of. And that's another thing with my other ex in my 20s. I became codependent on him after his abuse towards me. And it took me ages to get out of that. And even though I knew I had to get out of that relationship, I felt so insecure, so vulnerable, and so codependent on him afterwards. Even though I knew I didn't want to be with him in my soul, the inner child and the fear-based energy that he'd made codependent in me was like, maybe we'll be able to work it out. Maybe it'll be okay. Even though I knew I did not want to be with that kind of a person, I was still like, maybe we'll work it out. Maybe. And it's still, still so codependent on a toxic person because of their abuse towards me, making me so codependent on them. So just be aware of how you feel around people and be aware of how they speak to you. And if you're losing your voice, if you're losing your mind because of how they are speaking or making you question your sanity or making you question everything about yourself, making you doubt your opinions, making you doubt your self-worth, this lowers your self-esteem, this lowers your confidence, this lowers your ability to even, I suppose, aspire to do anything or be anything. It lowers your sense of self. It makes you feel that you're not enough. And it makes you question everything. It makes you feel shameful. It makes you feel weak. And they will also try and keep you away from friends and family as well. That's another thing. They will isolate you so that they can control you and that other people can't come in and intervene. So if you notice that they're trying to keep you away from friends or telling you that this person is talking about you, so you shouldn't hang around with her anymore, or this person is talking about you, so you shouldn't hang around with them anymore. This is all a form of manipulation to try and keep you stuck with just them and keep you in their control. So be mindful of this. Be aware of how this person is treating you, or, your boss even, how these people are treating you, because they will try and isolate you so that they will be able to gain more control over your mind. In my 20s, I drifted away from a lot of friends as well. Do you know what I mean? And I succumbed to alcohol and everything because that's what he did, and I just, don't lose yourself. Don't let it get so far that you lose all sense of self, that you lose all control of your own mind and your own inhibitions and your own reality, really. Don't let yourself be taken away and controlled and manipulated by somebody else. They're the hardest relationships to break free from. But that's why we need to be aware. Be aware of people's words. Be aware of people's actions, and be aware of how this person is trying to speak to you or trying to undermine you or make you feel weak or lower. This is gaslighting. This is narcissism. This is manipulation. This is psychological abuse. And they will keep going until they have gained complete control. Now, it took for a massive trauma in my narcissistic relationship for me to even to come out of that. And that's what I spoke about before, is tower moments. I wasn't listening. And I don't know what would have happened if I'd still been in that relationship. Obviously I wish that trauma didn't happen in a sense, but if I didn't have a grenade thrown into my life, I would never have known that he was a narcissist. And I would never have known that I had lost myself so completely, because I was gone. I was so gone that I didn't even know that I was gone. Do you get me? So don't let it get to a stage where you lose yourself so completely that you don't even know you're gone. That you're just this childlike version of yourself that you forget that you used to be alive, that you used to be happy. Do you know? And that's the thing, you lose happiness as well. I remember saying to my friend towards the end of the relationship, I forget what happiness is like. To be 26, 27 years of age and forgetting what the fuck, Life is for living. Life is for enjoying, for happiness. So being in control of your own mind and not letting another person control you is just so important. So be mindful of who you allow in your energy. Be mindful of who you spend your time with. Be mindful of those arguments and what that person is saying to you. Because if they're trying to make you feel crazy or make you question your sanity, question your mind, question your opinions, question your abilities, question all sense of who you are, this person is abusing you. This person is manipulating you. Do not let this happen, and don't let this control your life. Get out of it before it's too late. Get out of it before you lose a big chunk of your fucking life codependent on this kind of an abuser. So be mindful of this. Be mindful of the lies, because it's so easy. Literally, they will say a sentence, straight afterwards you say the same sentence back to them, and they will say, I didn't say that. You're crazy. Did you imagine that? So yeah, be careful with who you spend your time with, and be aware of how they speak to you and how they are making you feel. And get out. Get your mind back. Get your life back. Get your independence back. Become independent, not codependent. So if you want help on your journey, or to understand the relationships in your life, or to become independent and not codependent, please ring me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your journey. If this resonates, please like and share, and please like and share my page. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.